what I'm saying? A person on the other side of the fence don't agree with each other's political views, but came together as human.
What's going on, fam?
Hey, what up, people? What up, my?
What up?
Welcome to another episode of Technically Speaking, where we are giving you news
that you can use.
Yes. We got a special guest, repeat offender, Dr. Poole. Came back again.
Welcome, Dr. Poole. Good to have you on.
Yo, what up? Oh,
Yeah.
What it do?
So yeah, we had a great time with Dr. Poole last time. And he liked the political topic. So later on tonight, we're gonna go ahead and do a recap of the vice presidential debate. But before we get things going, we got to do a couple of shameless plugs, man. Everyone on here are entrepreneurs, so we got to make time to let y'all know what we got going. And you know what, we got our guests first. So Dr. Poole, please let them know what you got to offer and how they can get in contact with you to get your services.
You could reach me at donald.rumpf@gmail.com. Soon I'm going to be getting a new email address that you guys will plug. It'll be a lot easier, but it's pretty much just my name and then 1982@gmail.com. Donald Rumpf, that's R-U-M as in Marcus, P-H. The best way to get a hold of me, though, is probably on Instagram or Facebook, and that's Dr. Poole, or you could also just type in Donald Rumpf. I'm the only one out there, so those are the best ways to get a hold of me.
And that's to get what type of services again, Dr. Poole? I mean, I know what's the name. We know what you do, but we might have viewers that might not know what you do.
Yeah, that's for pool and spa servicing. If you need your pool cleaned or your spa serviced, if you need to get your chemicals checked or have something drained, if you need to have a general consensus on what you should be doing over the winter time to maintain your swimming pool, all that type of stuff I've gained knowledge of, so I can definitely at least answer some questions for folks if they have some questions or concerns on maintaining their own swimming pool. And then if you want to do the work and you're local in the South Bay or in Southern California around the Los Angeles area, you could reach out to me and I might be the one who will be able to do the service for you.
There you go. My man, so hit him up if you in certain areas in LA County, west of the 110, right? We learned that last time.
Yeah, you got it.
Bobby, let the world know what you have to offer, ma'am.
What's up, folks? You can find me on Facebook at Bobby Lopez. I'm probably going to be at the top of the list. Bobby.Lopez.5 on Instagram, and we are located out here in the San Antonio, Texas area. I'm the owner of Patriot Carpet Cleaning and Patriot Restorations. We do water mitigation services. So if you have water damage done to your home, whether it's a busted pipe or a leaky water heater, let us come in and get that taken care of for you. Remember, in the Texas area, it takes less than 48 hours for mold to build up, which we also do mold mitigation. So just keep that in mind and come and find me if something happens. Let's talk. Let's get insurance involved and get you taken care of and get your house healthy. Let's keep you and your family healthy.
And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, she is my go-to person for my properties here in San Antonio. We keep it in the family. Come on now, Corey Giovanni. There's something happening tomorrow. What's going on?
Hey. Well, you already know it's your main man with the game plan, Corey Giovanni, so check it out. Tomorrow is Amazon Prime Day, and yes, I am an Amazon affiliate / influencer / associate. So make sure that all your products that you want to spend at Amazon, you're going to click this link that I'm going to put there for you guys, and you're going to get that. Because why? Why not? Support the brother.
Why not?
Like no other.
Hey, support the brother, not the other. I
like that.
Yeah.
And then myself, I have a couple of units out here available for rent. If you're in San Antonio or know someone in San Antonio, or maybe you're moving to San Antonio, shout out to all my active duty service members that might be PCS in the San Antonio. If you're looking for, if you're looking for somewhere to rent in the upscale area of San Antonio, I'm talking Almost Park. If anyone knows San Antonio, Almost Park is right down the street from the Pearl, right down the street from the Zoo, right down the street from the St. Mary's area where they turn up. Holla at me at tech_Von_go at all platforms. Now let's get this show started.
Go.
We got a couple of topics to go through, and then we're gonna have our own debate about the vice presidential debate. So Mr. Giovanni, get us started. What's the first topic we covering tonight?
It seems like we're doing this every week. But you know what? I think that we should, because most podcasts aren't. We want to go ahead and show homage and pay RIP to some more legends. Last week it was Maggie. This week is John Amos, to be exact. The Black American television John Amos, who was the father, the first, I would say he's like the first black father of American TV from Good Times. Yes.
Good Times.
He was on the air from 1974 to 1978. Good Times was on the air from 1974 to 1975. He was the father who was the one who was like, JJ, if you don't get your butt over here, he boom, boom, boom. Not to mention, he also played in Coming to America. And in 1977,
that's right,
he was Kuta Kinte, the senior Kuta Kinte. This man had a legacy, and I'm not going to do like these other shows where they talk about the bad things that's going on after his death. We're going to celebrate this man's life. So with that in end, that should salute to John Amos for a job well done. I know you walking in them pearly gates with them golden wings and that halo. And when I get there, we're gonna talk about the behind scenes. But in the meantime, between time, thank you, John Amos. You get 2 salutes and some horns on that bad boy.
Yeah. We got some feedback on IG though. We got some feedback on IG. Creative Native said, nah, Red Fox, aka the original Pops.
Oh, Red Fox. R.I.P. Red Fox. Red Fox was, man. Sanford
we got 2 OGs. They're both OGs. 2 OGs. Shout out to the
comedy
OGs,
heaven
man.
right now. You know what I'm saying?
I've been watching shows. I've been watching some of the shows. They got the Sanford and Son on one of those streaming networks. It's so much fun, even at an older age, man, to go back and watch some of those shows, man. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I haven't seen that since a kid.
Fun fact, my maiden name is Sanford.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, if you look on my Yahoo, whenever I send you stuff, it says Bobby Sanford. I can't change it. I've had that same email for 20 years. I can't change it. So when we were growing up, I remember I had told you that I got switched from a private school to all black school on the east side of San Antonio, and I remember this one girl in the office told me, she was like, "This ain't your dad's name." I said, "Yes, it is. My dad's name is Clyde Leroy Sanford. Yes, it is." And she's like, "Are you black?" I'm like, "No." She's like,
"You ain't telling about your 3%?"
I know, right? I was like, "I'm 3% black."
Right.
Hey, there you go.
Hey, you know what they say? One drop of black ink in a cup of water, the whole cup turns black. Come on now.
All I'm saying, all right.
There we go. But yeah, our main man with the game plan, Corey Giovanni, tapping in. Just, actors these days are different than actors back then, right? I heard a story about John Amos when, and as a matter of fact, I saw the interview because a lot of his interviews was coming up since he's passed, about how impactful he was for other actors, other thespians in the industry. And he said that they were at the writing table, Norman Lear and the writers for the show. And they were reading the script, and he went to the side. He was like, "Okay, we're reading for this new season." He's like, "Our people don't talk like this." Now, remember, they from the south side of Chicago. South side of Chicago back then was just as rowdy, if not rowdier, how it is now. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, "They don't talk like this. Our people don't talk like that." And he was like, "Well, what you want me to do?" He was like, "Well, just take a look at how we interacted in the other seasons." And so they ended up killing him off the show.
It was caused.
Well, not killing him. I'm sorry. They removed him from the show because he didn't get killed. He died. He died of I think he had a heart attack or something. on the show, the character. You know what I'm saying? James Evans Jr. No, James Evans Sr. He died off the show. Yeah. And the famous phrase was "damn."
Did you mention how old they were when they passed? How old? Do you have like an actual age?
John Amos was 81.
Okay.
And
that's a good life.
Yeah.
That's a good life. Yeah.
That's not. Yeah.
That's a good life. You know what I'm saying?
Especially for men, since they have a lower
touche.
You know, age gap for women.
The Creative Native on IG said he was written off the show.
Yeah, he was written off the show, of course, and that's what they do. I mean, being that I'm a screenwriter, I know that you can't please everybody in the cast. However, you can be able to show homage. And one thing John Amos told Will Smith when they went to season 6, he was like, because everybody was doing their thing. Bad Boys, the first movie had already came out. Ashley and everybody else was doing their own thing. So they was like, how we going to, they gave him an extra season. And so Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith had a conversation with John Amos. And he was like, don't let them take your show off the air the way they want it. You guys made all these people a lot of money, like ABC, Quincy Jones, all of them benefited from this show. They did too, but John Amos told Will Smith, go out on your terms. And then because of John Amos, we had that big scene from Will Smith at the end of the season when he walks in and there was no furniture
in the house,
in the room, in the house.
I remember that.
I think Carlton got married or something. Hillary found a husband. The pops and moms, they moved out because he remember the pops, Uncle Phil, God rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? James Avery. He was a judge on the show, and it was like back then you didn't see shows end with a complete. They would just be over with, right? Just gone. Even A Different World was like that. You looked at A Different World and then you see a whole new cast, and then you start seeing a cast of people that wasn't never part of the show. Then the show
hate when they do that.
Yeah. So Will Smith was able to get that show to go off the perfect way. And
we had closure.
We had closure. There you go. Yeah. And John Amos was the one who put the bug in Will Smith's ear to do that. And I read that in Will Smith's book. So shout out to Will Smith for letting us know about the man John Amos. December 27th, 1939.
1939.
Salute.
Ooh, salute.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. And you know what? For me, that just pulls up the importance of mentorship, right? We talked about that a couple of times because earlier conversations we talked about how 50 Cent shared how my man Medea, Tyler Perry was a mentor to him, right? That's helping him kind of like guide him through his thing that he's building up in, entertainment and stuff like that. So, hey, man, kudos to that mentorship. Hey, if someone is willing to mentor you for something, man, listen. Man. Knowledge is more powerful when you have somebody who's done it and somebody who's giving it and then somebody who's pushing it. Because knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is power once it's applied. Yep, you gotta apply it. If you don't apply that knowledge, it's just some fancy books on the bookshelf.
It's just information. That's all it is.
What you think about that, Dr. Pooh?
Oh man, I don't know. I really kind of don't have too much of an opinion on it. Too much, Life is a short thing that we should cherish it as long as we can.
Yeah, no, definitely.
What would be a better way to phrase that question in a way that we could apply it to a certain standard or sense,
As far as the importance of mentorship?
Yeah. Because like if you get mentorship and you're familiar with the person who's mentoring you, it's cool. But if it's like from someone who you're not too sure is reliable,
there's no relationship.
Good point.
Yeah,
Good point.
Because Will Smith, he's a mentor, but would I want to be mentored by Will Smith? I don't know. Would he necessarily be the best example of mentor? I don't know. I think it's but mentorship is important. Like I have had men who have helped guide me in life, absolutely. But I'm very picky with those who I choose to take life advice from that I'm going to actually follow.
Yeah.
I don't think I asked the question the right way, but I think you answered it the right way. You know what I'm saying? Like be picky on the mentors you choose to follow. I guess the question should be, how do you pick your mentors? And I think you gave the answer, right? Mm-hmm. Be picky. Like it has to make sense, right? I think it's like we had Jasmine on last week, right? And she says something about how to find love. You got to live life, right? And then you'll find it. I think I would apply that framework to finding a mentor. Like I think if you're doing your thing, and I think organically you may run into someone who may be able to mentor you through whatever endeavor you may need mentorship in, maybe life coaching, maybe entrepreneurship endeavor. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I think for me personally, and I'll share this, I've had quite a journey and I'm definitely in a better space in life I've ever been, right? But I didn't do it on my own. I got a mentor. Actually, I'm representing right now. People were asking how come I didn't change my shirt. I represent, right? Because I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing now if I didn't follow the tutelage of, my friend who owns this company right here. And he's been a great mentor to me. And it's just, when you do find someone who that's trustworthy enough to be a mentor, listen.
Listen.
Listen. Yeah. One thing I would add to that too is okay, so I clean pools, right? And so if there was someone who was in the pool business and they wanted to give me some advice, absolutely, I would take it. But because it's pertaining towards my work and, everybody could relate to something like that. But if someone were going to try and give me marriage advice, I would have to look at their marriage personally and see what their marriage life is like. Someone wanted to give me advice on investing in the stock market. Well, if you're investing, are you losing money or have you gotten rich on the market? Things like that.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, you're not going to go to a broke person to find out how to make money. That
math does not math.
in the biblical sense, we use the term, them by their fruit. Your fruit is going to speak volumes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What makes comes sense. Out of the hard work, not just the passion, but the hard work, because you have to be able to put action behind the words. Like Corey was 100%. Saying, if information is just going to be left out on the shelf, that's just data and not being used. Knowledge is going to do nothing for you unless you've applied it, or unless you've seen it successfully applied to somebody's life.
Yeah. We got men put on IG too. Great point, by the way. I think this is something that can help answer that question too. How to find a mentor. And this is from Creative Native on IG. I know you cannot take advice from anyone that's been to a Diddy party.
No Diddy.
Unless they told you leave before the after party, right? That's the only thing.
Shipping in baby oil. It's time to go.
There's a lot of baby oil.
And no condoms. 1,000 bottles of baby oil, 0 condoms.
Oh yeah.
I didn't hear no condom reports.
Nope.
Of course you're not.
Whole other term.
Or KY. They had no KY. Bobby, how do you pick a mentor?
Say what now?
How do I pick a mentor?
Yes. How do you pick a mentor, Bobby?
Just by what I said, is just knowing somebody by their fruit. If I'm gonna go to you for like Dr. Poole said, for marriage advice, I'm not gonna look at you being a broke husband and not a provider, and seeing a woman being disrespectful to her husband. I'm not gonna go and talk to you. That's another thing. That's really good. I would never go and seek mentorship from a man, because he and I aren't going to see the world through the same type of lens. I would, however, go and receive mentorship from a woman who has been successful, who does have, a good solid head on her shoulders. If I said, hey, I'm coming into this issue, well, I know she's going to come be lockstep with me. Is she going to come at me from a worldview, or if she's going to come and talk with me from a biblical sense. Is what she's saying going to match up with my values and my morals? If what she's saying doesn't, I'm not going to hear that, because that's going to deflect from what I believe.
Good point. Good point.
I understand.
Yeah.
We got some more comments from Creative Native too. He said mentoring comes in many ways and forms. Once showed my nephew how to change a tire, and months later he got a flat with his dad and taught him how to change a tire. Generational knowledge.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. So I mean, and it doesn't always have to be on a massive scale, right? What was that, Dr. Poole?
Pass it on.
Pat,
You gain that knowledge, pass it on.
Each one teach one, baby. Each one teach one. Success leaves clues. That's kind of like what I was processing hearing y'all, right? A different way to say it. Success leaves clues. Like on remember Wolf of Wall Street? When the chubby dude saw the car that the main character was driving. What do you do?
Yeah.
I work for you now.
Yeah.
Yep. What
Because
else we got, man?
We're highly influenced by what we see, right? And what we see others have. However, it takes wisdom to know, like Bobby said, and she hit it on the nail. She wouldn't seek wisdom from a man in certain areas, because why? She knows that it's going to be from a male lens, not a female lens.
Good
not
point.
saying that a man can't be a mentor to a female, but
I'm not saying that. Yeah.
Right.
No.
And you're using wisdom because the way that you would receive it would be different than another person. And that's what I think we all have to realize is we're all different individuals. So not everybody learns the same, not everybody receives the same, and not everybody processes the same. And I'm glad that you was able to mention that.
Yeah, for real. Good point.
Not to be a jerk, but I wouldn't go and talk to somebody about my military career when they've never stepped foot in them boots.
Yeah.
Like,
you can't talk to me about the military. I'm gonna be like Call of Duty.
To say, okay, well, me and G talk about this all the time. Like, it's so easy for people to talk crap until you've stepped into those boots, until you've given up and have sacrificed a part of your life that you will never get back. Ever get back. And you've walked that walk. You didn't just talk the talk and be like, oh well, I almost made it to MEPS. Yeah, well, almost doesn't get wars won. It doesn't.
Oh wow.
You would probably be a great mentor for those who are trying to seek out discipline, probably because of the military structure that you learned and gained. You know.
Yeah, I mean, people have to be willing to be mentored. People have to be willing to be. People don't like the word submissive, but you have to be willing to submit to your mentor when it comes to their knowledge. If you have lack of it, why would you? You know what I mean? Why would you sit there and pretend like what they're saying isn't going to be important to you? It's just applied.
Good point. Got to be coachable and teachable. Got to be coachable, teachable. Speaking of which, got another thing from Creative Native. I understand what Bobby is saying, but I was a batting champion in Little League baseball all the way through high school. Small little flex. I feel you. Okay. And his batting coach was a woman. So I just think it just depends on what it is, right? It depends.
It depends on what it is. All day long, it depends on what it is. Most of my skills that I've learned in my job have been from men. So I'm not saying, oh, I can't learn from you because you're a dude. Like, no, there's just going to be some things that can be applied to me specifically through a female lens. If it's just something physical, guess what? I'm probably not going to go seek out a woman who's never touched a car in her life and ask me, hey, can you show me how to change the oil in the vehicle? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be like, hey, daddy, can you help me out over here? Can you show me what to do? I'm going to go and seek out the expert.
You know what? Funny enough, and I'm going to share this, right? I was actually taught how to fish by a woman. When I was cross training. Your auntie? Nah, I was in technical training, Keesler Air Force Base, Biloxi, Mississippi. It was actually a Texas girl that was in my class. We were going fishing. Man, we don't really go. Well, I didn't go fishing like that growing up in LA. But I wish I did. But anyway, fast forward, she taught me everything, man. Taught me how to put the hook on, how to cast. She taught me how to use a casting net. She taught me how to clean the fish, like gut it. Like I remember one time she had her cowgirl hat on. Was like, give me that damn catfish and just gutted it. This is how you do it, Gmo. Come on, you get the net. That's how I learned how to fish.
Last weekend we took the kids fishing after church, and I had told my husband to help me put the hook on, and he was like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, you've never tied a fishing knot? He's like, I don't know what that is. I said, come on over here. I'm going to show you how to put a fishing knot in here.
I gotta say,
show you how to bait this hook, sir, because we ain't going to play this, okay?
I've tried. It is very difficult to remember all the different loops that you need to stick that piece through, man. Like, my uncle tried to teach me one time, and he showed me like 4 or 5 times, and my brain just can't process all those extra little loops when it comes to these knots, man.
And I have visual memory, so I remember the loops because I remember the very first time that I was taught how to do the loops was actually with a piece of rope and not with fishing line.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a special way you got to do it.
It is. It comes with repetition too. I haven't been fishing in a while. Yeah. Let me know when next time y'all go, Bobby. We try and catch fish.
Okay. Okay.
What else we got?
But y'all want to know what else y'all can catch?
What can we
strike?
Catch?
Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Man, let's talk about this strike. Let's talk about this strike.
So this strike that happened, it came, it impacted, and it went. However, we do not know or I wouldn't say we don't. We need to pay attention to the people who are very, very responsible for all the things that come into our country. Like, we can't go shopping if the port's closed. We found that out over the weekend that tissue was a main issue. You feel me? Water was not a factor. You know what I'm saying? People were just mad. And then it makes you think about if they the one, and don't get me wrong, I know some longshoremen, you know what I'm saying? They go to work, like they work hard. I mean, 12 and 14-hour days. So, you know what I'm saying? Salute to the longshoremen. You know what I'm saying? My thing is, let people know how important they are. Like, we talk about jobs, about how it's good to go become a doctor, become a lawyer, become an entertainer. Longshoremen should be up there. Yeah. Because they are just as important. Because if we didn't have the longshoremen, those canisters, those containers will still be on the ship, and we would be hungry. That flat screen TV you want, it would not have came. Why?
No,
because we didn't have without them, you would have nobody moving them cranes, and you can't have somebody who never mentored somebody moving a crane, because then that crane is just gonna fall on you.
Yeah, for real. Shout out to the blue collar workers out there keeping America going.
Hey, shout out to them for real. I know,
we need y'all out there. If you're listening, we appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts, because if it weren't for y'all, our families wouldn't be eating and we wouldn't be able to take care of them if we weren't all working together as a team to make America better.
Hey,
I thought you was gonna say it great again.
I was about to, but then I was like, because America's already great. We're not gonna make it great again. It's already awesome. I'm sorry. Shout out to America.
Better. Shout out to America. Shout out to the blue collar workers. That came from Unstoppable Season. Hey, welcome back. It's been a little minute. Creative Native, who was formerly a truck driver. If the port shutting down crippled the nation, that should show how much this nation relies on others too much. Ooh. Yeah.
Ooh. So the Longshoremen Alliance has about 6,000 employees. And right now they were requesting a 77% raise over the course of 6 years is what I was understanding. Over the course of 6 years, this is going to give them kind of what we get every year with the VA. We get a COLA, which is a cost of living adjustment is what it is. And so typically we see about a little less than 2% of inflation each and every single year. So this cost of living adjustment is going to adjust according to inflation. Now, one of the things to understand about how these ports work, there's several of them going up from Long Island, New York to New Jersey, all the way to even like the Southern California area, because there's several ports. One of the bigger things too was that they didn't want to just ensure that they were getting this raise over time, but they also wanted to ensure that the employees who were already employed with there would actually get to keep their jobs. Because if you don't know, we actually have 3 ports in the United States that are fully automated. And this is where there's kind of an AI, not necessarily an AI scare, but a digital scare is when we talk about machines being able to take over what people do. If you sit there and you decide to invest as a company into $100,000 machine, but over the course of years you save millions of dollars, are you going to want to employ people where you have to pay millions, or would you rather do a short-term investment of $100,000? Might be a lot out of pocket at first, but in the long run, this is where you're going to save money. And so machines begin to take over. These jobs at the port, which a lot of these port jobs can end up taking jobs from truly thousands of people. If we talk about 50,000 employees in the port and harbor operations as a whole, and that's just one union, that's not every union, that's going to be jobs lost. And we don't want to see that. We don't want to see, brothers and sisters who are out there working to feed their families, but to also work together to feed our families. Mm-hmm. We don't want to see their jobs lost. And so those are some things to think about when we're talking about the port strike. So it was a little bit more than just pay raise. It was also their livelihood kind of at stake in the long run, because they wanted to be certain that they are going to have a job. And right now the unions were kind of going at it with the federal government, with the Biden administration, trying to figure out, what this looks like. And I think they came in at like a 65% agreement. However, they are not going to be privy to whether or not they actually get to keep their jobs in the long run. But also too, when these things happen, it also brings in a damper. We have supply shortages, as we saw. You know what I mean? Into some of the main products that the big paper products that we use in America here. And I think it also sucks because it happened at a really bad time. We had Hurricane Helene hit.
Good point.
And so all of that really accumulated at probably a really bad time. Shout out to anybody who's hurting. God be with you. For every single person to be found. God knows that that's such a destructive act of nature. And I pray that even the people in the path of Hurricane Milton right now in Florida, if you have the opportunity to get out of there. That tropical storm just hit into a Category 5 hurricane. That's nothing to play with. We saw already what happened in the Appalachia area of North Carolina. A friend of mine lives in Tennessee, and for real, shout out to him, because he's been still logging in, but every morning he gets up and he goes and puts out waters and stuff, and they give to local groups because they're flying from his property out to go and help these people. And he said this morning they had 4 huge pallets of body bags, and he showed us a picture. They only had 4 boxes left. They're still requesting more body bags. So if you're not getting the news as to what's happening, I suggest you switch your news stations and get into the truth of the matter and stuff. And so there's people out there hurting. And while the election is a really big deal right now, we'll be talking about the vice presidential debate here in just a little bit, folks. So don't worry, we got that on the line. But just know that we got real Americans out there that need help.
Need help.
We really do. And we have to take care of our people here. Our taxes need to go to helping America be strong and be better here. We do. We need to be helping our folks here.
Agreed.
Unstoppable season. Prayers going up. Yeah, definitely. Prayers for all of them, man. North Carolina. I actually got people out there in Asheville. I know Asheville was hit pretty hard. Asheville was actually isolated from the world. We actually had some of my folks in Asheville. They've tuned in from time to time. I got to check in with everyone out there. So hopefully everything is okay. I would build off of what you said. If you can donate to help, our fellow Americans, donate, man.
I did this morning.
Money to donate. I'm looking at that. And that's for the whole TS squad out there, man. Whatever you can, you know what I mean? Whatever you can. Let's help our folks out. Good point. Thank you for that, Bobby.
Mm-hmm. Corey, what we got next? What's going on with Bank of America? Talk to us.
One more thing.
Nothing.
He said millions and billions to others first, but here is $750 to help you recover.
Yep, and it's a loan. That is not given to you. That is a loan, because FEMA.
Was that what came out? Ooh.
Yeah, it came out. It is a $750 loan. That's not even enough to cover anybody's mortgage these days.
Jeez. Isn't that what they did out in Hawaii too? When the fires happened in Maui?
Yep. Got Oprah on the Rock out there asking for money.
Oh, I remember that.
We need to do better. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we need to do better. I'm not cool with that, man.
I will tell you this. It's probably, I don't know if y'all have heard about it because I'm in the circuit of the news. Donald Trump actually donated $25 million of his own money to the hurricane efforts, and he ended up partnering with Elon Musk to get Starlink out there. So those people don't have to pay for Starlink, but they can get internet service, so they can get service and either be able to work if they're able to work from home, or either to reach out to family members and stuff. So they're actually working in a hardcore effort right now to get those people taken care of out of their own pockets.
That's what's up.
That's love for the country.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I ain't got 25 million, but I mean, I got 25 on it. Not million.
25 on it. That's what you can do, man. That's what you can do. That's good. That's love right there. But that goes back to putting your money where your mouth is. Don't tell me you're a good human being if you have the money to back up what that looks like. Let's see what it looks like. Put your money where your mouth is.
I'm with it. Hey, put up or shut up, baby. Let's go.
Put up or shut up.
So, as you guys may have noticed, and you may not, I didn't, but then I did because I'm a person who always stays tapped in. Bank of America, they was Bank of Outage. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, they messed around and just went offline, like totally offline. And it's one thing to go offline. You didn't just go offline and take a hiccup. You was offline for several hours. You was offline like you just checked out. You went to lunch break on everybody. And when you came out, you spent everybody lunch money. Because from what the news is telling us, you know what I'm saying? You came back with a full donut in all these people's account. Now, let me ask you this. Could it be Warren Buffett was like, let me take my money. Give me my money. Or it could be something in the water with Bank of Outage. Now,
Bank of Outage.
I did have a question about this, right? If people money disappeared from their account, did their mortgages that was due disappear too?
I think that's no, fam. I think that's no, fam. I mean, that phone call sound, hey, I'm gonna be late this month. You seen the news? Hey, your money. Like,
no, but what I'm saying is, maybe the debt is paid. Do you get them pink slips? Because of the fact that if my money is gone, that means these mortgages is paid. Now, what happens if you get a pink slip in the mail saying, hey, your deed is fulfilled? Your house is
moving on up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just tell you right now, I will not be doing business with Bank of America when I go ahead to sell that good there go on property. But in the meantime, between time, Bank of America did a Bank of Outage and they went on break. And break. It had over. Let's go ahead and look at these numbers because there was a lot of people that was really up. They were up and down. But while I'm getting this information, what do you guys feel about that? You go to your account, you look at your money, and it's not demure. It's not very mindful.
No, not at all.
It was broke, gone. How would you feel if your dollars was without power? Somebody
set it off. How would you
so
feel?
Man, I'd be pissed, bro. I don't even know how I would be able to control myself. You know, let alone
very flavorful words I'm sure you would use.
Yeah, right. I mean,
use.
Like, I don't have Bank of America, so I wasn't directly affected by it, but I have Verizon. When you guys were talking about the Verizon outage, like that really upset me because it kind of like a lot of my company is based in that phone, and so for you just to be shut down and you can't give me a reason why, it was just like
now you just lost out on several jobs because somebody failed to communicate the idea that there could be a possible potential outage. That way you can make other plans. That's all it is. Communicate with your folks. When you're running a Bank of America, like it's $1 billion corporation, don't be playing with people's money.
Yeah.
Well, it shows how much control these corporations really have over day-to-day life. You know, I mean, one bank, one cell phone service, it affects so many different people. And it's interesting to see that they could say that something happened, but not tell you why. When I went down to the Verizon dealership to find out what's going on, they had no answer. I'm like, did you guys get hacked or something? Like, what's going on? Do I need to get protection? I don't know. I don't know. And
I don't know. It's the wrong answer.
I know the answer to that.
Oh yeah,
I know the answer to that because I worked in wireless when that happened to T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon back in 2018. What had happened was there was a breach, and not only was there a breach, they didn't have an answer. They didn't let the people who are the front line know about it. So we, in the beginning, we were on the what is going on? Like customers were calling us, and I worked in the corporate side at that point, so it wasn't like I'm in front of a customer in a store getting fussed at. I'm dealing with customers that have 70 and 80 phone accounts, and so they're like, "Hey, I can't. Oh, how come they're calling me from their landline, telling me that, Corey, I can't reach my guys out in the field? What's going on with T-Mobile's network?" So the GSM network is very funny because that's what the phone networks are on. They're on GSM, which are SIM cards, LTE, which is long-term evolution, 5G, and then 5G. We're at 5G right now. They're not going to 5G plus yet. I don't think so. So anyway, 4G was built on GSM. However, there's a technology which also embeds in GSM. It's called Edge, EDGE. And that Edge technology will work. A lot of employees who work at these wireless companies, they weren't old enough to even know what Edge was because Edge went out in 2012. So if they working at a Verizon or AT&T, they're not familiar with Edge because Verizon and AT&T, all they had was CDMA, which means code division multiple access, and TDMA, which is time division multiple access, where the wavelengths goes like this. As opposed to GSM, they go straight. They go straight from the phone to the tower, and it penetrates through all these walls and hardware, all that. Edge does not. However, Edge is able to work in the event of what happened. Like when everybody's phone services, Verizon services went out, if they had a old school flip phone, they can put on Edge on that device and they'll be able to make calls. The problem is they would not be able to get online because, they will, but you're talking about equivalent to dial-up, using the internet on the phone as a dial-up.
Yeah, don't nobody want that.
No, they don't. And for this reason, a lot of I'm pretty sure about 10% of Verizon customers was like, I'm out. My contract was up anyway. Let me go over. T-Mobile was giving away free iPhones. Let me see what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. But to go back to Bank of America, you can't just jump ship when your money ain't there.
Nah,
it's like
my money. You ain't got no money to take.
And that shows us how much we rely on these phones. So you know what I'm saying? It's crazy, but it's reality. So
it made me think of having to go and get a landline again. I haven't had a landline in years, but it looks like it might be a necessity just in case.
Well, funny enough, you can get a landline you can get a landline box, which is attached to a VoIP, voice over internet provider. So if you have Spectrum, or if you have I know that's why I said see, first I give you the lingo and then I give you the explain no. Okay.
The explain no.
You know what I'm saying? It's a box. You pretty much put a SIM card inside that box, or you can connect that box to your phone jack, and then put a
almost like
SIM
a
card
magic
inside that box, sort of like a magic jack. The only thing is this has failover. So in the event if the phone lines go out, the fiber line kicks in. and it allows that phone line to stay up.
Oh, that's what's up. So back on the Bank of America, we got a comment from Creative Native. He said, fortunately, his bill collectors understood what was going on with Bank of America. So that's good on them. I feel like you would have to understand that. And all your Bank of America customers are like, hey man, it ain't there, dog. Like,
it ain't there.
What do you want me to do?
Exactly.
Now, I was looking around. I don't think it came in the mail yet, but my governance hat isn't here physically, so I got to put the figurative governance hat on. There's gonna be some auditing going on to make sure to see if they checked every box, followed every process, because from a governance standpoint, there's supposed to be some business continuity plans in there, right? So if there was Plan A didn't go through, Plan B should have kicked in with a CD, right? Especially for that. It's about to go down when those people come through to audit everything. Yeah, there's gonna be more to come. I know the finance industry, they've been taking hits. Like USAA, they've been taking dings lately because they haven't been following governance 100%. So it's not a good time to be a financial institution. And you having these outages, everything better be on point because there might be some more class action lawsuits, dog.
I'm telling you, Cat Williams said it at the top of the year.
Not the least bit surprised. I told you I used to work at USA as a risk and control analyst, where I actually did the inside. I did the risks of all of like their internal systems. I told them risk. Here's where we need to implement the controls. And people would come and sit in this meeting, and I would show them what I did. I'm like, this is bad. We got to come in here and we can fix it like this. They're like, okay, and just walk out and like not do anything. And I'm like, but go ahead, stay in the news. Stay in the news.
That's when you call Bobby with a Y and be like, yo, hey, they got a leak. Go ahead, get some water.
Yeah, my name's Bobby with a Y. I want to report anonymous.
No, for real. See, here's the thing. We did an episode probably about. Yeah, it did. It took about 3 to 5 days. 20,266 outages.
Ooh. You know what? I've been hanging around y'all, man. I can't help it. I cannot help it. I saw something in the headline that China may have been behind Verizon recently. Could it be them? Could it be them? I mean, their attacks have been on the rise. Things have been shaky recently. There were issues with the Philippines. I don't know if y'all saw Chinese Navy or Coast Guard ships rammed into a Philippines naval ship, right? So it's going down, man. They've been getting very, poking their out, aggressive, man. So I don't know.
Look, not like I said, they poking the hole to see which one's gonna get water coming out. Point blank, period.
Yeah, for real.
Because we talked about something similar to this effect, like about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. Somebody finds the problem, and then, like Elon Musk, he found all those discrepancies with them employees that he fired, and then he went back and sued those employees that he fired for the discrepancy.
That money back by Monday.
Exactly. So somebody else probably was like, you can use my services because I help Elon Musk do this over here. And then they went down to person A, person B, all the way down to the end of the letter. So, yeah.
So you saying maybe some insider threat? Insider threat? Could be. You put it that way. We're gonna find out. It's hey man, what's her name? The FTC. I forget her name. The young lady that runs the FTC, because she been going at them, dog. I can't think of her name, but she's a beast. We'll find out something. Out something. You know, the director of the FTC, she's young, man, like 30 something. But she's she lives that governance life, man. We'll find out. We're gonna find out.
So
I can't wait for that, man.
Without further ado,
it's
that time. Yeah, baby. We about to tap into a great debate that we had set up for you guys. You know what I'm saying? So last Tuesday, Vice President hopeful Tim Walz and Vice President hopeful JD Vance. Sorry, I want to make sure I say their names properly and give them the respect they deserve. Had a great debate. And the reason why I say it was great is because of the fact that I'm not the policy procedure guy. I'm not the person who doing all these and that. I like to go by, because you can lie to me. You can lie to me on stage. You can lie to me on paper. You can get in office and just say, now I got in office. I don't care whatever I said. Y'all voted me in. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I go by emotions, and I go by that way. And I go by like body language. That way, if I'm lied to, I'm not mad, because I can only trust what I believe that this person said they're going to do, what they were going to do. And it seemed like these two individuals, they came in, they said their piece, they respected each other. You know, there was a part when Tim Walz was talking about, and I'm gonna go. I know we got questions that we're gonna ask, but there's one part where Tim Walz was talking about his son being in a shutdown, and JD Vance didn't take a quick second at all. He was like, "I'm sorry that happened." Yeah. I was like, that right there, it gave me chill. It gave me chill because
I respect that.
You know what I'm saying? A person on the other side of the fence don't agree with each other's political views, but came together as human.
Human being. Yeah.
They can understand because they're both fathers and they're both Americans.
Yeah, no, that was dope. I give him props for that, and it was real. It was sincere, because you know some people may try to fake it to try to appeal to people. That was real. When he said that, it was candid. He was like, "Man, I'm sorry your son had to go through that."
I felt his body language, because when he said it, you saw it. JD Vance was like, "Whoa, okay, this is real. This is serious."
So we haven't jumped into it yet. Rolling. We gonna get it going, but I think we do have a good question. A good question from it's a good question from IG from Creative Native. He said he has a question. Matter of fact, this will be the first debate we'll go through. We'll make our rounds. And I believe we agreed that the lady of the house will go first with every question. The question is, can we all agree or acknowledge that they are only fact checking one side? And Ms. Bobby, you could get us started.
I think you all know exactly where I'm going to go with this. I'm going to give you just a quick opinion. I do think the vice presidential debate went a whole lot better and a lot smoother than the presidential debate did. I was very surprised by JD Vance's performance and stuff, and we were all like, "Oh, okay." He has a little different persona than Donald Trump does. Donald Trump is a little bit more aggressive when it comes to things, and he's kind of in your face. And JD Vance is like, "Okay, I'm going to observe and kind of look from back here and kind of give you my piece, and we can just kind of kindly disagree." And he almost brings some stability to the conservative movement, I would say. But I think that they are in fact checking one side. And I think that it's important that these moderators they're supposed to be unbiased. However, we have found out they are in fact very biased. I don't think that makes a debate good. I think that the people who are supposed to be in charge of moderating should always be fair and impartial to both sides, regardless of where they stand.
No, good point. Good point. What do you think, Donald? Fact checking only happening on one side?
Well, I got 2 fact checks for Vance and 0 fact checks for Walz. Was what I tallied from all of the topics. So yeah, 2-0. If you're looking for the answer, it was 2-0. In my opinion, from what I got from it.
Right now, we got 2 that agree with you, Creative Native. What you think, Corey?
Well,
it's already starting off interesting.
Let's go ahead and throw it out there. You know what I'm saying? This is for shits and giggles. If the freaking president former president didn't say what he said in the past, they wouldn't have to be fact checking thing shouldn't even have to be an option. Like,
yeah.
But when somebody's telling you they eat dogs, right? Wait, you telling the American people nationwide that a community of people are eating dogs, somebody got to step in and say something. So they're like, wait a minute, hold on. And he's the leader of this side. He's the leader. So then they gonna think everybody's gonna follow suit. So they was like, okay, we gonna have to fact check him. It's like saying, like, okay, he's part of that tree, you gotta judge. So if he's part of this tree that's dropping fruit that ain't facts, then you gonna have to just check it. Now, do I believe that they should have been doing the same thing on the for Tim Walz and Kamala Harris? I truly believe that they should have. You know what I'm saying? However, only one of them really was like really far left. One party was really far left, and they ain't left, who was talking about eating dogs. And then that rolls over into this. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead, G.
I can't give you a justification for eating dogs and cats, bro. As much as I would like to give you some reason or justification for it, I just can't. I can't. Yeah, that was a statement that went too far.
Before I give my answer, I want to share the definition of cognitive bias. Cognitive bias, according to Merriam-Webster, it implies an unreasoned or unfair distortion of judgment in favor or against a person or thing. I wanted to start with that because I already knew what some people's answers would be, right? They already said it, right? And the reason why I threw that out there, because I took diligent notes. And the reason why I wasn't too informed on the other topics, because I watched the debate, I watched it again, and then I watched it again slowly and took notes.
Me too.
And actually, Walz was fact-checked. And one of the main things he got fact-checked on was his time in China. They asked him.
Yeah, right.
And he had to acknowledge that he was wrong. He gave a little statement, right? He was like, I misspoke. So I think to say that they were only fact checking one side is flawed, because they clearly fact checked Walz as well when they asked him that. Because they asked him the question, he deflected a little bit, and then they had to ask him the question again, and then he had to say, you know what, I was wrong. So again, I wanted to start with that. And I always want to remind everybody, I'm coming in as a pure independent, so I'm looking for the flaws on both sides, right? And so it was, again,
we done
the
made you a voter.
Say what?
We done turned you into a voter, because you was like,
you did, dude. I went through this with a fine-tooth comb, like, and we'll jump more into it. But that was good to start us off. Hey, shout out to Creative Native getting us started. I like that. I like that. We got North Star Investors came through. She's part of the Moreno clan. Just showing love.
What up, fam?
Here we go. Let's get this started, because there's more stuff coming in.
You know it's gonna happen.
He said that wasn't a fact check. That was setting the ball on the tee for him to hit it.
Those were personal questions hour, where you get to ask the candidate a personal question. It's not like he was talking about one of the things in immigration or something, and then the meter is like, oh no, Mr. Walz, you're wrong about that, and then gave their interpretation. It was a little difference. He's right.
An unreasoned and unfair distortion of judgment in favor or against a person or thing. Let's move forward. Starting this off, and so what we're gonna do for everyone, we're gonna step through every single question, let everybody give their 2 cents. It's gonna be some healthy debate, and we'll go from there. And this isn't even really a question, but I think you kind of started it off, Corey. But I wanted to start with the intro. I wanted to go around and just get everyone's feedback on just the intro and how they think the intro went. And we'll start with you, Bobby.
The intro to the vice presidential debate?
Yeah, the intro to the vice presidential debate.
Okay, just to make sure we're on the right page here. So the intro to the vice presidential debate was, it It was good. I like that both Walz and Vance, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say anybody came out swinging, but they came out, I feel like being fair to one another. I think the American population saw what happened with the presidential debate, and there was a lot of agreement that things could have gone a whole lot more differently for both candidates. And as far as the intro, I think it was fine.
Dr. Poole.
Yo.
What do you got?
Well, yeah, you're right. They were very respectful and cordial towards each other. For me personally, I don't know anything about these two men whatsoever, so I gave them the opportunity to talk to me with a clean sheet. You know, I didn't go in there with any personal bias about any of these guys because I knew absolutely nothing about them. Some of the characteristics and traits that I got, though, was they both seem to be very friendly people, you know, like a couple guys sitting down at a table, you know, having serious conversation about, you know, different topics in the world. I like that they were more respectful than a lot of other candidates have been.
Giovanni.
Can I be honest with you? I missed the intro.
Be honest, man. That's why
I missed the intro. I missed the intro.
Oh, you missed the intro.
I missed the intro. But what I can say is, you know what I'm saying? It seems to me, I thought it was the whole debate, and I'm gonna generalize it. The debate, from what I did see, because I couldn't be able to see the rest of it, family issues. But it felt like it was a good communication between two people who have differences, right? You know what I'm saying? Two people. I would say it like this: from the hood perspective, a Crip and a Blood who don't get along, but they still have, you know what I'm saying? They still have
America.
They still want to take. They you know what I'm saying? They still want to keep their hoods safe. You know what I'm saying?
You will always find something in common with somebody who disagrees with you differently. You will always find something in common.
Right. And let's start there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because real talk, 4 years from now, let's say, for instance, Trump wins the election, right? Can he run a second term?
No.
Because that would be his third term.
No.
Yeah. So
it's just two.
Just two.
So JD Vance would be 43 years old because he's 39 right now. So he'll be the youngest running president. And
well, we're just making that assumption. He hasn't made any inkling of wanting to go in that direction.
True indeed. He's vice president. I mean,
but if he does, I will say this, because my take on the intro was, and we got a comment too from Unstoppable Season. He said he's not gonna lie, he missed the intro too. He's on YouTube looking for it now. I think it started the way a debate should have started.
Right.
Especially because I was curious to see how JD Vance was, because what you said, right? His running mate was not so professional, but that's Trump. You can't be mad at Trump for being Trump. You know what I mean? That's like yelling at the clouds, "Don't you rain on me?" No, that's
yeah.
But he came in with a high level of decorum. And that's the first thing I noticed about JD Vance. He had decorum. They came in, they met in the middle, and they shook hands. That right there stood out to me, especially from the Republican side, right? Because I wasn't impressed on the presidential debate, just because I'm like, okay, I get it, you Trump, you entertainer, but I would still like to see decorum in that type of environment. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So I that right there, I tip my hat on them, which I think, actually, to your point, Corey, if JD Vance wins the type of poise he has, I think he would make a good candidate, honestly.
Yeah.
He has the mannerisms, the poise. He has the
and he has.
Go ahead.
He not only does he have the mannerism, the poise, he also has the youth on his side. He would be a 44-year-old candidate running for president in a Republican-driven economy. And if the Republican-driven economy was successful, Oh, they gonna he in.
Oh, that's
They gonna put him in. I like both of them.
You keep in the hood. That's a for show. That's that
for
for
show
show money.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not Democrat or Republican.
Let's move to the first question. So the first question was about they asked both candidates did they support a preemptive strike to Iran from Israel, because this was right on the heels of what just happened last week, right? So that was the first question. Do you support a preemptive strike on Iran? And we'll start with the lady of the house, Bobby.
So I think that every single country has the institutional authority to be able to defend their nation and defend their people. And if Iran is playing games, they should absolutely defend. However, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to be absolutely 100% honest. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Because I'm a Christian, I'm a big supporter of Israel. Israel is God's holy place. It is God's people. Nobody messes. I mean, the Bible is very clear about this. And because of that, I will stand with Israel. Absolutely, hands down. If Iran comes in and plays games, Israel has. And if you don't know anything about the IDF, that's the Israeli Defense Forces. They do not play.
They no joke.
They do not play. Every single man and woman over the age of 18 is mandatory military service of 2 years in Israel. And that's a lot of I love that. While we probably can't force that here, I like that idea because it's going to give everybody a sense of purpose, and it's going to give everybody a sense of being able to support and be a patriot for your country. I think that and Israel absolutely is, the discipline too. I think that Israel absolutely has the balls to defend themselves, and I ran out of their ever-loving mind.
So how do you think each candidate answered that question?
Or
how well they answered the question? I'm sorry.
So I'll tell you what. I don't know a whole lot about JD Vance other than he is a senator in Ohio. And I honestly don't know a whole lot about Tim Walz either, so I can't say like, oh, I'm a diehard fan of any one of these individuals because I don't know them a whole lot. However, I do know that JD Vance is not just a veteran; he's a combat veteran, so he has boots on ground. He has firsthand knowledge and experience with this type of ideology that they're messing with, and it's very different than our ideas here, obviously in the U.S. and I think that he spoke from the same foundation as every single country should have that authority to defend themselves.
Okay.
I don't want to hear from other countries, oh, well, Israel went too hard on them. Listen, you poked the bear. Now you're mad the bear came loose? No, that's not how this works. This is not let me shoot you and, oh, hey, don't touch us.
Yeah.
Listen, that's not how this works.
How you think the candidates answered that question, Dr. Poole? I'm sorry.
A couple things that I got. 5 pages, man. 5 pages. Okay. So the first thing I got on Vance's side, good personal intro, but he used a lot of his time. He didn't spend too much time talking about the actual topic. He spent a lot of time giving a background on himself. So I think he could have used more of his time instead of giving personal information about his upbringing and whatnot to answer the question. But he did talk about deterrence. He talked about the deterrence that Donald Trump had put in place against some of these countries like Iran and a couple of the other Middle Eastern states. And he spoke about using peace through strength, instead of backing down and giving the control to the United Nations, maybe, to take more of a stance there. But I think he answered the question. He made it easy. He talked about re-implementing deterrence against particular nations like Iran by doing things like ultimately taking money away through those actions, Walz, he called out Trump on his age, said Trump was unfit and is friends with the foreign leaders. I didn't really get an answer about what they would do. He did give support for Israel also. And when they asked the rebuttal, again, he went back to blaming Trump, but there was no fact checks on a lot of the things that he was blaming Trump for. So he just kind of, spent a little bit of time of spewing a bunch of rhetoric, and which is, I want to add this now instead of later. I was talking to you earlier, Geronimo, about the epiphany I had about facts and like real facts and true facts, because during this whole debate, you're going to hear a whole bunch of stuff, numbers thrown out there, and one side has their set of facts and the other side has their set of facts, right? And you got to kind of like chop up in the middle. But there are things that are true facts that you can't dismiss, and so the example that I was thinking of was the earth, right? So like some people, they have the debate on earth. Is it flat? Is it round? Some say it's shaped like an egg. You can go back and forth on a fact like that, right? But you can't deny the fact that the earth is spinning this very moment, right? Like you can argue that the earth is flat or round, whatever you believe is what you believe, but you have to believe that the earth right this minute is spinning, right? So on the other hand, if I were to ask you what color blood was, what would you say?
It's red blood.
It's blue.
Okay, there you go. Right. So a lot of people would say, all right, yeah, it's a fact that blood is red. But in theory, in reality, the blood inside of our veins isn't red. It's like, what do you say, blue? It's like purple or something, right? Yeah.
It's purple before oxygen hit it, right?
Yeah. So here's the thing, though.
Technically speaking, purple.
Yeah. So here's my point, though. My point is
purple, man.
You could say that it's a fact that blood is red. And you could say it's a fact that blood is purple, because both of these things are facts. But you could argue over what it really is. Oh, it's blood is red. No, blood is purple, But the true fact behind it is that if you cut yourself, you're going to bleed. No matter what color you decide it is. And if you're alive and you cut yourself, you're going to bleed. And that is a true fact. And so what I wanted to focus on doing during this debate was hearing all of the facts that each side has, and then searching for the one true fact on how it affects me in my life. So that's how I'm going to be giving my personal opinions on the debate.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Hey, good point. Good point. It's on you, Giovanni. And again, the question that the candidates had to answer was, would they support a preemptive strike on Iraq?
Being that I am a Christian man, yeah. I stand with Israel.
Well, again, just to rephrase the question, how well did you think each candidate answered those questions?
Again, I don't think I got that one. I got bits and pieces of it, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
So I may not be the best person to answer these questions, because again, like I said, they tell me that they can do whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until I see something that shows me in their body language, in their talking, and it aligns with how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say how I feel, is about what's going to be better for human race, not just going to be better for my pocketbook, or not going to be better for a tax bracket that I can benefit from, or something. I mean, all those things, I'll let God decide all that. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like, I always tell people, look, my thing is I read body language. Pointblankperiod.com. So if you lying to me, I feel like you lying to me, which sometimes I feel like all these presidential debates are lies, most of them. But you know what I'm saying?
Hey,
just being honest, you know what I'm saying? I feel like everybody is trying to sell the biggest lie, and it's whatever. I just know that if I feel a certain type of way, I'm not going to vote for you. I'm going to be confident. And if the person who I vote for loses, I'm going to be good with God. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be all bent out of shape saying, the world is going to end because this person is in office. I'm going to just, because to me, and this is going to sound very spiritual and biblical, okay? For all those people who don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't care who's in office. I care who's on the throne.
Right.
Yeah. I'll share my 2 cents. To Donald's point, when they asked that question, Vance did spend a lot of time just doing an introduction to himself. Now there's one thing I picked up on. I've seen some of the comments, right, that go throughout on both sides, right? I've seen how there's been talks about Kamala kind of stealing some of Trump's swag with some of the policies that she kind of stole from him. And to that point, right? Hey, you know this as an artist, right? Pablo Picasso said, "A good artist copies, a great artist steals," right? Yeah. So yeah, Kamala stole some of his stuff. It's good. You're supposed to steal it. You know what I mean? And I say that to say that whole introduction thing that Vance did to introduce himself, where he came from, the type of family he came from, he stole Kamala's swag on that, because she's been doing that. And I noticed that. I'm like, okay. Kamala stole a little something from that side, so he stole a little something from her side. That was the first thing I noticed, was that he did that because he was doing that to kind of appeal to middle America and middle class and stuff like that. So he's trying to set the frame of, I'm just like you, because that's what she's doing when she's sharing that message, right? Like trying to get you to connect, right? Connect. And Trump kind of does it in his own way, which I think Trump, he's the best at it, right? Because he does a really good job with getting regular people like you and me to connect with him. He's a billionaire, dog. Like there's no way I can really relate to a billionaire, but he's good at creating something that people could connect to. And I think that's what Vance was doing, right? With that amount of time he spent, to your point, Donald. And then both people said that, yeah, we're gonna back Israel. There's no politician in the world that's gonna go against that. Like that's our ally, no matter what. That's the homie. If we're gonna take it to the streets, right? If I'm rolling 40s, I'm rolling 40s. I got your back. You know what I mean? I got you. Ain't no questions about it. I got your back. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there was something you said earlier, Donald, when you said Walz didn't really give an answer. He did. He said we will protect our forces. He said we will protect our forces and our ally forces, and there will be consequences. That's what Walz said. So, and then there was some bickering back and forth. They both kind of did a timeline of what happened and this and that. Vance put the blame on the Biden administration when he was saying Kamala, but it was the Biden administration, right? When they said they unfroze that 100 million, that frozen assets, 100 million, and that's what gave them the capability to do what they did, right? When the Hamas attacked Israel and stuff like that, Walz clapped back. It was like, fair enough, but Trump pulled us out of that nuclear deal that we had with Iran. And to your point, there was no
Iran have nuclear weapons.
And it's a good point. They said that that nuclear deal prevented them from getting closer to having nuclear weapons. And they did both agree that Vance and Walz, they did both agree that Iran is closer to having nuclear weapons, which the deal we were in before we got pulled out of that deal, that wasn't going to happen. So it was a little bit of both. So where both sides were like, you did this. Well, you did this. So it was a little bit of back and forth to be like, I don't know. Can we ever know what was the true cause? Was it them getting their money back? Was it pulling out the deal, the nuclear deal to stop them from getting nuclear weapons? I don't know.
Well, everything that we talk about goes back down to policy. You can go to whitehouse.gov. You can go and look up these specific things. Now, what sucks is your average American citizen is not going to go and do that, because they put these bills into motion where they are several hundred pages long, and it's almost like reading a book. And you have to go line by line and page by page to be able to truly back up what those true facts are versus what's actually being told. A lot of these bills that we talk about aren't being passed, or somebody tried to stop this. It's because there's fluff inside the bill that they're not willing to talk to you, the American citizen, about, because they know that, one, you won't go and read it, and one, if this person says it, you'll support it.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's a good lesson, right? You got to read.
You have to read. You absolutely have to go and do your own research. It's imperative.
Yeah.
You're not gonna go and buy a house and not do your research on the neighborhood. You're not gonna go and buy a house and be like, oh, hey, this person said it's good, I guess it is, and you come in and there's freaking mold everywhere, there's rats everywhere, and then you end up getting a bad deal. It's
speaking of mold, who can they go to if they need any type of water restoral treatment services or mold removal services? Who can they contact for that? Since you brought it up,
contact Bobby Lopez at Patriot Restoration.
Quick plug.
So, I will say this though. What I did notice, and this was from the very first question, was a lot of deflection from Vance. And we talked about this earlier, right? Because in that same question, they asked, did Vance think that Trump made a mistake by pulling out of that deal with Iran? And he never answered the question. He deflected, and then when he deflected, he started talking about Kamala Harris and the Biden administration giving Iran back their money. And then what did he say? He said, asked when was the last time. So he did that. And then he did come back and say, he asked when was the last time we had a president that had no wars break out. And he did say that it was during Trump's tenure. That sounded good, but still was not an answer to the question on, hey, did Trump make a mistake by pulling out of that deal with Iran? Never gave a straight, solid answer. He came back with Kamala and team gave them back their money, and there were no wars during Trump's tenure, which I still don't understand what the answer to that question was, because he never gave one. So
I could concede that. Here's one thing. It's kind of off topic, but it's on topic because we're talking about Israel. And it's like a little history lesson. I don't remember the full story, unfortunately. I'll go back and I'll research it. But apparently for like decades, presidents have been saying that they were going to make something official in Israel. Like they were going to name Jerusalem or something like a special capital or something, which was the premise of the big war and fight between the Palestinians and the Israelis to begin with, right? And every presidency, Obama said it, Clinton said it, both of the Bushes said it.
It was moving the embassy to Jerusalem, yes, to move the United States Embassy as a quote unquote representation of what the capital is, which it is Jerusalem. So.
Yeah, Donald Trump was the person who actually enacted that to be possible. And so he received a lot of heat for it too, because, you know, and so I would look at that just from a historical aspect. Keep in mind that Donald Trump is the only person who actually put forth the effort to make that particular place in Israel that has been the topic of discussion for presidencies since the Bushes. He was the one who actually went in there and said, this is the capital, or I'm sorry, Bobby, what was it again? The embassy or something?
Yes, he moved the United States Embassy. There was other talk about it during other presidencies, but he was the only one who enacted it. Yeah, where it actually happened under him.
I think I remember hearing that. And maybe I missed the point. How did that impact the relationship with Iran? I'm curious.
Well, it shows Donald Trump's unwavering support for Israel. The fact, and so it doesn't necessarily say how he's going to stop Iran from attacking again, but it shows his 100% dedication to backing Israel, as opposed to a lot of politicians who have been saying that they're going to back the country, but they never actually.
Okay, I see your point. I see what you're saying. Saying.
He did.
It looks like Corey's still trying to get back in. But we'll keep this train moving, man. So, just real quick, who took? I would say, or ask, who do you think won that line of questioning? Just go. Just tell me who you think won that line of questioning. Because I think I want to go, okay, who do you think won that part of the debate, this part of the debate? Because it is a debate. You get what I'm saying? There has to be a winner. There has to be a loser. We'll start with you, Bobby.
I don't think there has to be a winner or a loser. I feel like a lot of times in a lot of these political debates, can we just start an answer with yes or no, and this is why? And a lot of the like, it is simple.
Yeah. Yes or no.
No. That is it. And if it's yes, great, why? If it's no, then why? But they go on this tangent and they end up time deflecting from the question, because these are real things that people want to know. How are you going to handle this? And
I'm there with you.
So that's where I'm standing. I don't think there is a winner or loser, because if candidates are deflecting from answering the question, all you're doing is taking time away from the American people. Don't waste my time. You want me to vote for you? You show me why. Show me. I'm not from Missouri.
Good point.
Show me.
Hey, I see what you did there.
My favorite rapper's from Missouri. So.
Hey, good point. What's your thoughts on that? Would you proclaim a winner in that round of questions?
Well, the only thing I got from those two that stood out the most was the talk about the deterrence, and I know what he's talking about with deterrence because I saw the deterrence that Donald Trump put in place prior. So I thought that was a legit answer to how they can stop a preemptive strike on Israel is to enforce particular deterrence. And Walz, he said that he supports Israel. And I'm sorry, Drama, you said also something else. He gave some support in another way.
Say what now?
You mentioned that Walz, he did say that he had like some type of plan or something.
Oh, I mean, it's the same thing they're all going to say. He said we will protect our forces and our allied forces, and there will be consequences.
Yeah, but he didn't actually say how he was going to go about doing. Is it going to be through legal action, or are you just going to write a bill? So that was a little vague for me. His answer was a little vague on what actual step, and because of that, I gave the round to Vance.
I call it a draw because we didn't really get any actionable answers. I mean, the question was, would you support a preemptive strike? They both said yes. It took a while to get to that yes, to Bobby's point. On both sides. So I will call it a draw because no one just came out and said yes and this why XYZ blah blah blah. To great point, Bobby. So I call that one a draw because no one did that. Neither candidate came out and said yes or no, but we know the answer is yes. They couldn't just get straight to the answer. It's just deflect. Okay, here's a little bit of something you could use. And both sides did that. So I would give them a draw.
You can go to previous interviews because you already know how they're going to answer it. If they've already answered it, I feel like these one-on-one interviews are a lot better versus the debate style ones, where the interviewer actually gives them the opportunity to say their piece versus, oh, you only have a time limit of 30 seconds. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Listen, I'm just being hypothetical. I know they had 2 minutes, but what I'm saying is they you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, it's not like that in a one-on-one interview and stuff. You have the time to say your piece versus now it's a time to debate, because they have to stay on topic.
I see what you're saying. It's more intimate in a one-on-one, right? So maybe you can get better lies on a one-on-one, because I think we all do agree that you just say what you need to say to sway the votes, right? I don't know if we're going to get straight up real answers from either side. Good point when you said that. So moving to the next question. The next question was about immigration. And basically the moderator asked the question about separating would either candidate separate parents from their children, even if their children were legal, but the parents were illegal. How well do you think each candidate answered that question? And we'll start with you, Bobby.
Do you have the script up in front of you right now?
No, I just jotted it down.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I don't remember what either of the candidates said, but I know what I was looking for in an answer. This is simple. People are also hell bent on separating families at the border when every single one of us, we're not stupid. We're not. You can't pull the wool over our eyes. There's 320,000 children who have gone missing since the borders have been opened. Children absolutely have to be separated from adults. It is for the safety of the children. It is for the safety of the adults. It is for the safety of the human being. And getting down to the nitty gritty. Do you know this person? No, mommy paid him $5,000. I was raped 7 times on the way over here. Okay, this kid probably shouldn't go over here with this person. I think that's a serious no-brainer question. And Dr. Poole, do you have any of the answers that either candidate gave?
Yeah. So Vance, he didn't actually answer the question about deporting the kids that are already here. He did talk a lot about. He mentioned a lot of the negativity, the negative impact about immigration. He talked about crime, that's the crime raising. He talked about less job opportunities for Americans. On the other side. Walz mentioned there are a couple things Walz said that I would like to question, because he talked about border patrol and the support for border control, but it's the same party that wants to abolish the ICE program, which is specifically designed for Border Patrol.
Right.
He
Immigration,
talked
Customs,
about
and Enforcement. For those of you who don't know what ICE actually means, it's a term used a lot, but it's Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement.
I did not know that.
yeah.
Yes.
The other thing he talked about, the main emphasis was on drugs, the fentanyl coming across the border, and Walz acknowledged that yes, fentanyl is a problem, but he said, and he quoted this, that he said drug mules are not true. So basically, Vance talked about the kids and the women and a lot of other people being drug mules, bringing the drugs across the border. And Walz said that wasn't true. And when he said that wasn't true, the first thing that popped in my head on a side note was that if the drugs aren't being brought across the border, then it's got to be doctors and hospitals that are putting fentanyl out on the streets in America. Because that's the only place where it's getting made here in America is in hospitals and factories.
Right.
So I would have liked to see him acknowledge the fact that there are drugs and even guns coming across the border, and he didn't acknowledge that. But he was talking a lot about bills. He mentioned a lot of bills that can be put in place, but there was no actual plan that he had. He did say that the kids should not be separated, though. He gave a definitive answer and said that kids shouldn't be separated.
From their
but
parents.
There was no actual plan, and when he said that there weren't drug mules, that some of the immigrants aren't drug mules, I don't believe that statement.
Yeah, that was a flawed statement. I don't know for sure that that's happened. I've heard it, you know what I mean? I've heard about it. So for me to be like, yeah, I know that's wrong. I don't know, because I've never seen any reports. I've never even heard it in the news. I've only seen it on TV shows that are loosely based on real events, right? Like Narcos and stuff like that. But I can't never say that I've seen any data about that. So I can only go off of hearsay. I hear that that's happening. I don't know. But off of that, right? To your point, you said he didn't propose any bills, but
no, he said they would make bills, but he didn't give details on the bills that he would put forward.
You said he didn't propose any plans.
Yeah, he was talking about bills, but I didn't hear like what the details in those bills are. He was just like, "Oh, we're gonna make bills. We support border patrols and we'll make bills." But that's very vague answer.
What he said was there was a bill, and Bobby, you pointed this out to me when we first started talking about it. That bill was HR 3602, and he did say that it was something Border Patrol asked for. It was something law enforcement asked for. It was actually written by a conservative. The Biden administrator supported it, pushed it through Congress, and Congress voted no on it. That bill would have provided 1,500 new Border Patrol agents and other things to strengthen the border, right? But every time that came up, he kept referencing HR 3602. So he did not say per se, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, but he kept referencing that bill.
But here's a question. What average American watching that debate knows what H3, whatever the hell he said actually is? Like, can you give some detail on what H3, whatever your program is? I don't know what that is.
I was like, I don't know what that is. I actually read like half of it. It was a hard read because it was boring, but
that's how bills are.
Huh? I know.
Let me answer this question real quick. That's why, technically speaking, is here. We give you news you could use, baby. Come on now. That's why you tapped into us. We gonna point you in the right direction. Let's go. What were you saying, Bobby?
Okay, so as I read through the first like 30 pages of the bill, I was like, okay, all of this makes sense. It was in fact giving additional funds to the Border Patrol. It was like in lockstep with everything that I'm thinking that needs to happen at the border. Of course, Border Patrol needs more funding. We need more bodies on ground. But the idea of having bodies on ground doesn't mean nothing unless you're enforcing laws that are already on our books. And that
last part again. Sorry, I was reading a comment on Instagram. Say that last part again. Sorry.
Having bodies on the ground doesn't matter if the bodies on ground aren't enforcing laws that are already on our books. We already have laws in place for people who are not supposed to enter the country illegally. And there is a process, whether you agree with it or not. There is a process, and so reading through this, you end up getting closer towards the end of the bill, and they begin talking about funding for Ukraine. And that's where I was kind of like taken back. I was like, oh, they put all this good stuff in here, but if you don't keep on going down to find the fluff, that's where the problems arise. And that goes right back into a statement I made earlier, where tax-paying United States citizens like us deserve for our money to stay here at home.
Good point.
Not funding wars, not funding Iran, not funding Ukraine or Russia, not funding wars. Wars are fought by young men and young women, where you have older people sitting at this juncture where they get to make these rules and apply these rules, but they're not the ones whose lives are going to be put on hold for that.
And good point. I think that's another episode we could spin off and do. Getting back to that though, because the question was about a plan, right? How are we going to do it? There was a plan, and Congress stopped it. The comment that we got that I was laughing at was from Creative Native on IG. He said, all Democrats do is talk about bills and what they will or won't do, then do the complete opposite. Don't understand that, because it was actually a conservative, a Republican that wrote that bill, right? And the Biden and Harris administration supported it and tried to pass. Well, they passed it through Congress, but Congress voted no on it. So I don't understand the connection there. Because that if a conservative wrote the bill, right, and then Democrats supported it and passed it to Congress, that sounds like bipartisan to me. Unless I misunderstand bipartisan. I know I'm just now learning government, but if something was written by a conservative and it was pushed by Democrats, sounds like bipartisan to me. So I don't understand the connection on that one there. Because so in essence, with the conversation Donald and I was having, right? Because there's a recurring theme of blaming Kamala for the border, right? What Walz did in that question was he reiterated the fact that Congress controls the border. They control the budget for the border. Anything that happens at the border goes through Congress, right? And to be honest, that was important because when this whole thing started out, I was sold on Kamala messed up the border. So starting this whole journey with y'all, Trump had my vote. So I'm like, yeah, border's effed up, economy's effed up. We need Trump back in. But then as things started lining out, and it was you, Bobby, that helped me realize this, I did not realize that Congress controlled the border. So that had me asking the question. I'm like, well, how can they blame her for the border when Congress controls that?
I'll tell you why.
If the VP, and I'll reiterate the question, how can you blame the VP for something Congress controls?
You're not going to win this one, Bobby. You're not going to win this one. Go ahead.
It's not about winning. It's about understanding, because
You're right.
I don't understand it. It's like jurisdiction, right? It's like blaming U.S. law enforcement for all the problems happening in Mexico. That's not their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So typically, vice presidents are given like several tasks or like special jobs that they do around America, involving livelihood of Americans and stuff. And one of the things that was given to Harris was the issue at the border. If I'm not mistaken, she was supposed to find the cause of why so many people were coming here. But obviously, if the United States government is, hey, we'll give you this, this, and this, and this, that's your root cause. Don't bless disobedience. Don't give people an incentive to come here and break our laws and then be mad at Americans when Americans are like, hey, hold on a second. There's a lot happening here aside from crime. Our hospitals are getting overrun and packed with people who are needing aid, but these hospitals are being paid for again by taxpayer dollars. And so taxpayer dollars are being taken from Americans who need them and being given to people who never paid into a system. So those are.
With that being said, who's responsible for all of that though? Who controls the border is the question. When it comes to our pillars of government, who is responsible for the border? What faction of the government is responsible for the border?
The
what branch
legislative
of government?
What branch of government? There you go.
So yeah, I guess I would agree with that. It'd be the legislative or judicial, but
it's Congress.
it's Congress, exactly.
And that again, and I had to learn this, right? Because again, that goes back to, we've had conversations of fake news and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was sold on the fact that Kamala messed up the border, and they even keep saying Kamala's open border. That can't even happen if Congress controls the border. That's the thing. Like, I was like, wait a minute. I kept noticing that throughout the whole debate. Is Vance even kept going back, no matter what it was because of Kamala's open border. After it was fact checked in the presidential debate, it was fact checked here multiple times that she can't do that. That's actually Congress's area of responsibility. He kept hanging his hat on that. I'm like, how can you hang a hat on something that's not a fact? You know what I mean? Congress messed that up. I'm seeing comments on IG. Creative Native said that Kamala was the deciding vote that blocked the bill. The math isn't mathing on that. I would need to go back and look at the votes, which we can do.
So that's what I was going to tell you. There were 33 actions where she was the tie-breaking vote in 33 instances since she's been vice president. And I'd have to go back and check too, but I know for sure earlier that I was reading on one of the .gov websites that she is in fact the tiebreaker on these, and that's another thing. That's like the job of the vice president. They are tiebreakers whenever it comes to
the House.
What gets passed. It is. If they can't decide, both parties are at a head. They have to bring the vice president and say, okay, what's your vote?
But I don't think it was nowhere near a tie on that. The HR, what was it? 30. There it is. It's in my
3602.
Let me look it up right now. There was. I get what you're saying, right? But that would imply that there was a tie at some point. But there was I forget the number. Show me here it is right here on Congress.gov. It failed 215 to 199. There is no tie. Like I would now if it was what anyway, it didn't. I don't see how she was to be the deciding vote when it was 215 to 199. And that's that right there on Congress.gov for HR 3602. And again, news you could use, baby. Don't believe the hype. Go to Congress.gov. There's no way you get a tie-breaking vote with that type of win right there. You know what I mean?
You're both right. There's instances where the VP is the deciding vote, but you're also right, in the fact that this wasn't one of those particular situations.
So, sorry, I was listen. Say that again, Donald.
But you guys are both right. Pretty much. Yeah. Like the VP does make the decision if it's a tie, but yeah, that particular instance it wasn't a tie. But with Bobby's point, there have been a lot of times where there were ties. And it's not just in this particular.
I can't speak to this one because I don't know. You just stated that it was.
The courts of history will show that.
Yeah,
it's there. I mean, everything is documented, right? That's why I love going to policies. I love going to policies. I wanted to put that out there because that's been the rhetoric. They keep saying Kamala's open border, but it's not. It's Congress's open border. You know what I mean? I want to give credits where credit is due. It's not Kamala's open border. It's Congress's open border. So, and again, I share that too, again, because I started out, Trump had my vote, hands down. But then I started seeing all these discrepancies, right? I'm like, wait a minute, how are we talking about fake news when you guys are the ones spreading that? And in this debate, he kept going to that. So it's like, I don't know if I could trust you if you keep telling that lie, because it's right here at Congress.gov. You know what I mean? That's why I spoke so passionately to you, Donald, when we talked offline. I'm like, I don't see how you can keep doing that.
And I tried to justify
American isn't going to go and do that.
I tried to justify.
They're going to say CNN told me this, and so automatically I believe it. The rest of you are fascists. Like what?
And I was part of that. I was guilty of that. That's what I saw on the news, and I'm like, oh yeah, Kamala, she messed up. She's the border czar. She messed it up.
Yeah, I tried to do everything I could to, debate that particular instance. And yeah, you're right. Everything that I, tried to bring up gets discredited by the fact that it is Congress who's responsible for passing bills. But there is one instance where these presidents bypass Congress, and that's when they start doing these executive orders. And Kamala Harris has mentioned that she's not afraid to bust out an executive order if she needs to.
And they also because that was brought up, the executive order. And again, that was fact checked because Vance was saying that
it's not right. It's illegal. They're not allowed to do that technically.
They can't do that. They can't do that without Congress passing it. Like you can put out an executive order, but it still has to go through Congress. So
that's how checks and balances.
All presidents do it though.
Government. That's why we have checks and balances. Somebody needs to be able to check you if you're getting out of line.
Yeah, all presidents had it happen. Trump had it happen to him. Obama had it happen to him. I was younger with George Bush Jr., but I'm sure it happened to him too.
It's not uncommon. It truly probably isn't an uncommon thing, but now all of a sudden everybody's worried about politics. But like 6 or 7 years ago,
no, you're right. You're right. Because I was never worried about it either.
Yeah.
So I think we got time for one more question. So for me personally, I think Walz got that round. He won that round because at least he was basing his stuff on fact. Vance kept digging in on a lie. And it's clear right there for everyone to go to congress.gov and look up HR 3602, and you can see that bill failed 215 votes to 199 votes. And that's why the border is where it's at. Had it passed, it would have had extra resources to help protect that border, to include 1,500 new Border Patrol agents. To your point, Bobby, I don't know about, any other laws that are in place. I would have to do my research, but that is something. So to me, I'm giving.
You said that a conservative wrote it. Do you know who wrote it?
I did not write that name down. They say it though. They say, or did I write the name down? Let me see.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the bill's not written by one person. It's not. There's a group of people that are involved in the writing of the bill.
They said the person's name. I didn't. I just wrote down the fact that it was written by a conservative. So that kind of perked my eyes, like, bipartisan. Oh, okay, I like it. All right, let me see. Ooh, well, IG, you guys are gonna pick the last question that we go over from the debate. Did we lose Donald too? Oh no.
I'll probably be back.
All right, IG, y'all pick this next one. It's either gonna be between the gun violence question, reproductive rights, or the economy. You guys decide on IG which question we go over, and this is what's gonna close out the great debate section.
So this morning I actually read one of the fact checks that was done on Tim Walz, was that he had said that his son had witnessed shooting, and Corey was kind of talking about it earlier, but I don't think he knew the full extent of what he was saying. And unfortunately, he was talking about how JD Vance had said that he didn't know that his son was involved in that. Well, Tim Walz ended up being fact checked on that, and his son was inside of a center, and there was a shooting near the center, but it was not directed at him. It was not at a school. It was a community center where he was playing inside of this community center, and there was a shooting that happened in the area. So he did not witness any type of shooting. And so anyways, that's what the fact check was. I know. That's what the fact check was.
That's cool. I mean, lies are lies, baby. If he's lying, I would say he's afforded a few amount of lies since we just pulled out a big one from Vance. So, hey, who has the better lie?
I don't know.
Say what?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think anybody should be lying. It's just so difficult for everybody to tell the damn truth.
Tell the damn truth, man. Oh, here we go. Did we get an answer? Let me see. Whoever runs the house out of the Constitution, they on that LA cap, internet cap. What? They going off. What are y'all?
They're going crazy, huh?
Say what?
They're going crazy, huh? Should I check out the...
You know what? You choose, Dr. Poole. Because we got time for like one more question to go over from the debate. Choose between either the economy, reproductive rights, or gun violence.
Let's go with climate change. I'm kidding.
I was like, okay, I mean, it's on there, but
we could go with
to be honest.
let's go with inflation. I got some notes on inflation.
The economy.
Yeah.
Now that affects everybody's pocketbook. I told Geronimo that. What affects my pocketbook? At the end of the day, what's gonna either make me money or what's gonna take my money? So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so IG chimed in. So let's make time for two. They said gun violence. You said economy. So let's
You
run
do
it
gun
down.
violence. I got notes on both.
You want to do gun? Oh, let's do gun violence. Let's run that on gun violence. Let me see.
What was the question?
So the question was, do you think holding parents accountable can curb mass shootings? They were referencing the shooting that happened kind of right before the debate, and that was the main question that they ran with. And we'll start with you, about how you thought each person answered that question.
So in the instance of this previous shooting, yes, absolutely, the parent should be held accountable because that parent knew that their child was a red flag and still decided to give them a weapon that they were too young for, knowing the capability and the mentality of the kid. So I do think in this specific instance only, should the parent have been held accountable. There have been other ones where children either where parents have their weapons put away and kids go and steal them. They go out of their way to do stuff like that. Yeah. That's different. I think that's different, and they are making big adult decisions on their own accord, and that could be that's not every single parent's fault. It's not. Yeah. But for this specific instance where that one kid went and shot up the school, I think he killed like 4 kids or something. I think it was like 14. He was like a kid. He wasn't like
he just started
18. He was a kid, and they sentenced him as adult, which is good. When I saw that, I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. Finally, the justice system is working.
He's going to jail.
Absolutely. Like, he's going to jail. He's going to be with the big folks. You know what I mean? He's about to lose his virginity. Anyways, no, this kid is done for. But I do want to offer this kid, even in the darkness of his mind, just a little bit of grace and hope that he receives some mental rehabilitation for that. I hope that wherever they put him, that he gets mental rehabilitation, because you can throw the book at him all day long, but if he doesn't actually get the mental health help that he needs, the problem is going to stay there.
Yeah, good point. How do you think they answered the question, Donald, or how well they answered it?
I think they both did a pretty good job of being compassionate and showing vulnerability during this particular segment. I like how Walz relied on his personal experience with Sandy Hook when he mentioned how he was there for the Sandy Hook folks, and they asked him a question. You used to believe in assault rifles being cool, and then what made you change your mind? And he was like, well, I sat down with the people from Sandy Hook, and that changed my mind. And I thought, for him, that was a powerful statement.
That was very powerful. Yeah.
But he also spent a lot of time talking about how things are done in other countries. Like, he was spending time talking about Finland and how Finland handles gun violence, I guess, and how their numbers are down and whatnot. I like how Vance mentioned that the details matter. Like Bobby was saying also, I agree with that statement. To make a general statement that if a child uses a parent's firearm and commits murder, that all parents should be held liable. I don't necessarily agree with that logic.
Good point.
But he also mentioned, Vance also mentioned some things to do at the school. He mentioned up in security, things like doing better locks on doors and taking more precautions to prevent these things, as opposed to Walz, who pretty much was just saying how bad guns are in general. He didn't, or at least I didn't hear from Walz actual steps that he would take to ensure that these schools are safer. But I might have missed it. It seemed like he spent a lot more time talking about things that are happening in Finland.
Yeah, he did. Let me see.
But here's the thing. Here's my overarching goal. All right, this was my own personal opinion that I got out of this. All right. When I was in high school, you went to Gardena High School. We had GPD walking around on campus. You know what I'm saying? So I never experienced the riot at Gardena like I witnessed when we went to Lusinger and saw that riot at Lusinger happen, even though Lusinger had police guards on duty too. So, you know, I think it's one of those things where in high school you get security measures like that, but is it necessary in elementary schools and junior highs? And Walz was mentioning how like you don't want to have kids running around and seeing security guards and this and that. But I think you know, when we had law enforcement on the school grounds, it, I think, made our school a little bit safer than what it could be. Because Gardena was a public school Gardena was a public school. It could have been really bad, but you know, I remember GPD walking the campus.
I do too. And was it always there? Because I think you got there a year after me. There was a big riot on my freshman year. It was the same when it was the blacks and browns. It happened too. Same thing. It happened in Lusinger. It happened because it would always spill over from the prisons, right? And it would happen at the schools and stuff like that. And just for anyone watching that's not from LA, and for you, Bobby, when we were in high school, and even before our time in high school, there was always bad race riots, man, between the blacks and the browns, man. That's why you would always hear Tupac and them always try to bring blacks and browns together when he'll say, it wouldn't be LA without Mexicans. You know what I mean? He was trying to unite
Black love, brown pride in the sets again,
right?
So Wilson.
But no, like Mexicans were fighting Black Americans.
Yeah, man. It's always been like that. I think it's gotten better. I'm not in LA right now. I don't know.
I don't know. There's charter schools now though, so it's different. You know, the whole school system is different. There's charter schools and these private schools now that a lot of people are sending their kids to. Like public school is only for impoverished neighborhoods nowadays, it seems like, you know.
Nah, it was bad though, man. I mean, it got better, but even when we had the Gardena PD, there were still shootings and stuff. Man, it was a couple of times we had to go on lockdown, man. With all the games we got at that, dude, we had a lot of games at that school, man. I mean, for the most part, they got along, but I can only think about maybe once that I could remember there was a shooting during our time there. And then before that, we did have that riot, my freshman year, which was like 95. There was a bad riot. So I remember, I hopped the gate and I ran to the bus stop and caught that bus home. Because at the time I lived in Hawthorne, and we was in Gardena. So that would be for you, Bobby. That would be maybe catching a bus from like Alamo Ranch to Converse. You know what I mean? To get home.
Long ride.
It was a little bit of a ride. And then we got North Star Investor said even in San Bernardino County too, at Chaffee High School, it was happening in Southern California. That was pretty bad. So I think, like Corey said before, he had to jump off, keeping it hood, right? Unfortunately, you gotta have those deterrents, man. Especially, and we didn't even have social media back then. Think about that.
Yeah,
we didn't even have that. I mean, they doing these challenges, slap a teacher challenge, and all this other crazy stuff, man. So, Vance is on.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy, man.
It's like a TikTok challenge or something. One of those stupid things.
Go slap a teacher. Yeah.
Stupid.
There you go. Go commit assault. Good luck.
Yeah. So, I mean, Vance is on to something when he did talk about that. Unfortunately, I think we might need that, man. The proof is in the pudding, right? Why do we have stupid laws? Because people do stupid shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, straight up. I think, they both answered pretty good on that question, man. Now Bobby just shared that it was fact checked that Walz's son did not witness that shooting. That changes his answer completely if that's true.
Wait, the Sandy Hook thing?
No, Donald. I think you actually dropped off when I was telling him that this morning I was listening to one of the fact checks done on Walz, and his son he mentioned his son witnessed a shooting while he was at a community center and stuff like that, but it actually wasn't true. He was inside the community center and there was a shooting within a few miles of it, but he had not witnessed anything. And Walz made it seem like right there covering for his life type of.
Oh, hey, that was a big thing.
Yeah,
I gave Walz like a star when he said that. That's not true.
So when I had read the fact check this morning, I was like,
oh man,
come on.
Really?
Now,
that's what he lied?
What was that? Who was the fact checker? Because that matters too. What source? What was the source?
I'll find you the source. I'll find you the source.
I'm gonna withhold judgment until we make sure that's a reputable source. But I will say this: even if he didn't see the shooting, we got a lot of Southern California here on IG, LA right here, right? Even if you don't see it directly, if you're able to see like the end result, let's say if you had to pass that, and if you saw, the repercussions of it, that's still traumatizing. You know what I'm saying? Even if you just heard it, you know what I mean? That's still traumatizing. Like, I think we've kind of been desensitized from that because we saw it and heard it a lot coming where we come from, right? But no child should have to be near that. You know what I mean? If you're just trying to do your thing as a kid, you should be able to rip and run these streets safely. That's not cool, man. Even if it was down the street, that was too close. You know what I mean? That shouldn't be happening. But his whole thing about Finland, you want to. I get his perspective of using proof of concept because he was asking why do they have just about the same amount of gun ownership, but they don't have the same amount of mass shootings? Legit question. Why do we have so many shootings? You get what I'm saying? To your point, Vance did speak about the mental health crisis that we need solutions. He did say we need solutions. You can't generalize it. I think both
every single one of these mass shootings will point back to that person having mental health issues.
It probably. Now I would want to give this question to Vance, and he would have this one because he actually proposed some solutions, right? Security. We need security. But he did that thing again.
Kamala Harris.
He said
Kamala.
One of the reasons why we have these shootings is because we have illegal weapons, and the illegal weapons are coming in because of Kamala's open border. I would have given him this if he didn't say that. Like, he would have got this round because he actually answered this really good until he went through that lie. Like, come on, man, miss me with the lies, dog. Like, and again, they fact check that so many different times to be like, actually, it's Congress that controls that. It's Congress's. If he would have said Congress's open border, he would have got that round. So it's just like when we have a conversation and I say I love you, but I just negated everything I said before I said but. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking P. Diddy, but no Diddy. I'm
no doubt.
But, you know what I mean? B-U-T. So he lost that for me because he did good. He did good, fam. But then you went back and singing it 215 to 199 votes that killed the bill that would have strengthened the border. It is not Kamala's open border. It's Congress's open border. So I got to give that round of applause because my man was still trying to push a lie, man. False narrative. Some people call it fake news. But there was some good that was buried under that fake news. But overall, I think it was a good debate, man. I would say like everyone else said, everyone had their share of lies. I'm still not convinced on either party at this point because this has been a journey for me. I want to share again for the whole technically speaking community. I came in to this whole voting season really favoring Trump. And then I just started noticing discrepancies like this over and over again. And I'm just like, I'm still on the fence and we don't have that much time left. So I got to make a decision. So overall though, just from the surface level, it was a good debate in my opinion, because both people had decorum. So it was a good debate in my opinion. What do you think, Donald?
I thought it was a good debate. I personally would give the win to Vance only because a lot more of the solutions that he gave I particularly agree with. Not to say that Tim Walz was not good. He was very good, and if I were still a Democrat, I totally would back Tim Walz before I would back Kamala Harris, 100%. But I took down 3 positives and negatives from both of the guys. So with Vance, the guy, he says the things that you're supposed to say, and he says it without complicating it. I didn't get too many complicated answers that I didn't understand. He maintained his composure under pressure. A couple things I noticed though was a little bit of a lack of charisma from Vance. If you look at Walz, you could see the passion in when he was talking. I felt a little bit from Vance like a little bit robotic in his mannerisms and his talking points. I would have liked.
I thought he was pretty smooth. That was
he was very smooth, a great talker. But I would have liked to seen more, maybe emotion in some of his talk. He was just he was very cool and consistent, like a robot.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Also, it seems like a guy who. Honestly, both of these guys seem like cool white guys, but if I saw Vance in a parking lot and I was walking by him, he seems like a guy who would lock his door because he saw me walking by him in the parking lot. And that's just my personal opinion. And the last thing I didn't like about Vance was the fact that I felt he was a little reserved. I would have liked to see him be more passionate. Like if you see Donald Trump and you see Vance, there is a distinct difference when the two speak.
Completely different. And they brought that up too. There was a several times they said, "Hey, you know what? You seem pretty cool. You got a good message, but your messages don't really align with your running mate."
Yeah, they're two completely different personalities. And then what I got from Walz was, he had a lot of energy and passion, especially for his age. He seemed like he genuinely cared. Seems like a genuine, nice guy. And he kind of had that grandfather feel. Like when I was sitting there listening to Walz, I was like, okay, Grandpa, I get what you're saying. I don't agree with all of it, but you had a nice way of talking to me. And I appreciate that from an old white guy. Some of the negatives, though, he's from a smaller state. He talked about how he grew up in a town of like 800 people, and then he governed a small, the numbers of the population in Minnesota is like 7 or 8 million people in a 2001 poll that I saw. And like out of those like 7 million people, like over 4 million of them were white. And so it was like a huge difference between the Caucasian population and the rest of the population. And so for me, that kind of made me think that Walz has a smaller mind frame on life. Can he really handle the tough situations that a California or a Chicago or a New York is experiencing if he's never experienced those big city lifestyles, So that was kind of a small negative for me. And then just a couple other things real quick. I got that I think Walz would have a better chance of running for president than Harris. I do think he did a better job than Harris did. And he seems like another Trump hater instead of a country saver. I heard a lot of Trump hate. And I heard we'll make bills, but I didn't hear too much substance about steps and plans that he has met. That's what I got out of it. Both great guys.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
It'll just kind of probably be, it doesn't necessarily have to be something factual, just your personal opinion. I keep hearing the same rhetoric. We keep using that word, but people keep saying, oh, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy and stuff. And I hear that, but on the same side, I saw that some things didn't go correctly. If I was voting as a Democrat, I think I would be upset that Harris immediately got appointed to that position without giving any other Democrat the due process of being able to stand in those shoes and be able to run and campaign as president. Instead, she was just given the baton, and which actually goes against how we run as a constitutional republic, because a lot of people keep saying America is a democracy. We are not. We are a constitutional republic. and doing so, they've taken away the voice of those Democrat voters who would maybe not vote for Kamala, since she did not do well in the 2020 presidential campaign run. Initially, she was the least liked candidate, but yet now she's running for president. So when people say that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, do you think that them appointing her, that Democrats appointing her to that to run as a Democratic candidate, is closer to what we would consider a threat to democracy?
Well, the thing that scares me the most between the two is one is for counseling and the other one isn't for counseling. I noticed that
when you say cancel, like cancel culture?
If you agree with me, you need to be shut up and shut down, and everything that goes with you needs to be shut down as well.
Yes, and I say that because there were, some things that I personally posted on Facebook that were just my opinions about the election, and I had those taken down, and I was flagged, and so that type of stuff worries me. And for Kamala Harris, I think, is she personally a threat? No, but the fact that I don't think that she's really the one who's in charge. I think someone else is in charge.
I agree with
that
you.
She's just going to go along with it.
I agree.
And with Donald Trump, there is no go along with Donald Trump. He has a vision and a goal, and he's going to do what it takes to try and accomplish that goal.
He's a businessman at the end of the day. He's going to sell you on the business.
Can I ask you a question real quick? That question about do I think Kamala is a threat to the constitutional republic? I'm gonna say no, and the reason why I'm gonna say no,
I'm not saying she is, but what they did, appointing her, taking away the voice of the people.
That part. Okay, so
not Kamala. I don't believe Kamala is a threat to democracy
what they
either.
Did. All right, so there's nowhere in the Constitution that says that they have to do what you're talking about, right? They don't have to do that. Each party basically can set their own rules, if you will, right? The Republicans can nominate whoever they want to according to how they want to. Same with the Democrats. There's nowhere in the Constitution that says it has to go the way you kind of depicted, right? So you cannot be, or your party cannot be a threat to the Constitution if the Constitution says you cannot do it that way, or you have to do it through. There's nothing spelled out in the Constitution that says it has to go that way, which is why they were able to do that.
But there should be.
Prove me wrong. Anybody out there, show me where it says in the Constitution they have to do that round of voting and stuff like that for a nominee.
I did not say anything about that being in the Constitution. I just said what they did was wrong. Was not allowing their party to speak.
Because it can't be wrong if it's not stated how it's supposed to go in the Constitution.
Morally, see, you have to look at it through moral eyes also. Just because something is written down a particular way doesn't mean it doesn't have a moral behind it.
Who sets the morals, though? Who sets that moral authority? Is it just because it's been status quo?
I think it's the observer, because each person who looks at it is going to look at it through their own color eyes. They're going to see it.
What I'm picking up is an unwritten rule. So because we didn't follow an unwritten rule, then that's a threat to democracy, or not democracy.
Well, for me, it's all about fairness. There was a Republican primary before Donald Trump got the second, and there wasn't one for the Democrats. But if you notice, traditionally, there's always a Democratic and a Republican primary every 4 years. Even though if the sitting president is during their second term is kind of given that particular platform, then all good. But for a VP to step up, consciously and morally, I think that the people should have. It should be a redo. You get your Democratic candidates who were there before, like the Asian guy or the Bernie Sanders.
It's an opinion-based thing because it's, again, right?
I don't know the Constitution on it, but it's a moral thing.
There's no set rules, right? Because again, when I hear moral, right, to my Christians that are here, right? You have a book that kind of sets your moral authority, right? Your morals are based on certain things, right? That's why I keep asking, what based on what, right? Tradition, which is status quo, right? I think it's safe to say that the Democrats broke tradition. Is there anything really wrong with that, right? I don't know.
I think if the shoe is on the other foot, G, that there would be everybody up in arms and being pissed. I think if the shoe is on the other foot, it's always seemingly it does seem
I'm part
like
of everybody, and I wouldn't if the Republicans broke tradition, it wouldn't matter to me. That if I don't care how you choose your nominee, choose them.
All right, Geronimo, question: why are you so mad that Donald Trump didn't shake Kamala Harris's hand? Then
it's decorum. It's respect.
It doesn't matter. There's no written rule in Congress that says you're supposed to shake hands before you go out there and have a debate.
I see what you're saying. Like if I fart in your face, right? You're probably going to expect me to say excuse me, right? So, or maybe I should.
You're not going to have a chance. I'm gonna shoot that ass.
Hey, we can keep going, right? Because you can throw different things, comparing apples and oranges, right? A party can do what a party chooses to do. If the Republicans choose to do one thing for their nominee, that's on them. I can't really say, that.
But they were given a primary, whereas the Democrats were not given a choice. It was Kamala Harris and the rest of you shut up. That was it.
Okay, according to the Constitution, is all I'm saying.
I you're both are right. They're both are right. One's morally and one is ethically
wrong. I mean, and again, you're saying moral based on what principle? Based on what?
Well, for Bobby, it's her moral. It's her personal morals. But for you, it's paperwork. It's more along the lines of what's written, and that's the difference between humans in America and why democracy is such a beautiful thing. Because you got you and you got you who are two completely different people. One has a lot of morals. The other one likes facts. Maybe facts is the wrong word. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. No, we can roll with that. I like facts because that's why I like policy. Right? It's written. Right? It is written. There's black and white.
Neither are wrong.
Right? Nothing's wrong. Like, because again, I'm not a Christian, so I don't operate on the same moral values that you do. So that's why I'm like, what morals? If it's a Christian-based moral system, right, that said they should have had a primary election, I don't subscribe to that. So the only thing I could go to that's common to us all is the Constitution, right? And if it's not written in the Constitution, in an amendment, in the bill, in the law, in a local ordinance, how is it wrong? You know what I mean? That and I will ask that for every single thing. And even to your point about the handshake, maybe it wasn't wrong, right? It's just a gesture, right? That is a common courtesy, right? But Trump is not the person that gives common courtesies.
No, not when you disrespect them the way Kamala Harris has. I wouldn't shake her hand either.
And there's disrespect on both sides.
Yeah,
right?
she shouldn't have went up and introduced herself.
Donald Trump went out on that debate stage knowing damn well that he was going to be quote unquote outnumbered. He knew that his opponent was going to have the support of the two moderators. He knew immediately all they were going to do was attack him. And quite frankly, that's what they did. They did exactly. And of course, she got underneath his skin when she started mentioning about his rallies, which, by the way, shout out to Donald Trump. He just went back to Butler.
To be fair to the VP candidates, this was their highlight. I don't want to take away from what they accomplished. I think they gave a good show, right? I don't want to deviate too much away from Vance and Walz was the star of this episode, right? I don't want to take their shine away from them. So kudos to them. They showed up. They showed out. I believe Bobby and Dr. Poole think that Vance won. I'm not giving it to either one of them. There are moments that I was impressed by both sides, but I'm still at a point to where no one has still impressed me enough to be like, I'm going for that candidate. Because I believe, right, the whole purpose of the VP is to try to sell their running mate, the president candidate, right? I'm not convinced either way, to be honest. I need to see more, which is crazy because we still got we don't have
less than 30 days. What do they have to do to get your vote? What do they have to show you to get your vote?
I don't know, man. I'm not impressed.
Paperwork. He wants to see that paperwork.
I gotta see the paperwork, and to be honest, I haven't had a chance to read Kamala's policies, man. I really gotta take some time to read her policies and compare them to Trump's, and it's really gonna come down to which policies are best for me, as it should be for everybody, right? Bobby, you've expressed how, for the most part, Agenda 47 speaks to you, and that's driving your decision to vote for him, as you should, right? Same with you, Dr. Pooh. I don't think you said you read Agenda 47. I'm not sure.
No. Was that the one you sent me about the wall?
Oh, well, maybe.
Or was that the one about the not allowing jihadists into the country? Which one?
Oh yeah, that was in Agenda 47. That was Agenda 47. Yeah. So
yeah, that's crazy.
So, overall, good debate, good discussion, healthy debates too. That's why we called it the Great Debate.
I like the title.
Thanks for joining us, man. One more time, let them know how folks can get in contact with you if they're in the right areas of Los Angeles and they could use some pool services.
D_R_pool or D.R.pool or Donald Rumpf. And you can do that on anything, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X. It's RUMPH. It's like Donald Trump, but you just drop the T at the front and add an H at the end.
That's what's up. Hey, thanks again for joining us, Bobby. Let them know how to get in contact with you if they're in the San Antonio surrounding areas and they need water restoration services or mold removal services. How they get in contact with you for that, ma'am?
So I actually have 2 Facebook pages. You can either come and find me at Patriot Carpet Cleaning. You're going to know because I'm going to be shown as the owner. I am a disabled veteran. Both of my businesses are disabled veteran-owned small businesses in the state of Texas. And you can find me on IG at bobby.lopez.5. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. If you have water mitigation issues, mold issues, send me a DM. Let me see what I can do for you at no charge. I'm just offering you some advice.
And it only better be about that on the podcast. Don't be trying to be funny, man. And then you can get in contact with me at tech_Von_go at all platforms except for TikTok. And I do have 2 units in an upscale area in San Antonio.
Hey, I might want one of those, bro. What's your
Come on
we'll talk
down,
afterwards. Let's talk afterwards.
Hey, come on down. For any military active duty that may be PCSing into the area, this is Mill City, USA. So holler at your boy if you need that, or anyone else. Maybe you're a traveling nurse or anything like that. You need an upscale unit, an upscale place in San Antonio. Holler at your boy. Other than that, IG, I love y'all. All BS aside, y'all show love. Facebook, YouTube. Thanks for checking in with us, and y'all have a very good night.
America.